What if I told you there's a way to double your income in less than a year, working from anywhere you want in a career that actually values what you bring to the table? If you're tired of being overworked and underpaid while watching less qualified people get promoted above you, then stay tuned, because my name is Ryan Anwar from Elevate Cyber, and I've been working in cybersecurity for over a decade, and I've helped hundreds of people escape dead-end jobs for six-figure remote careers. And today I'm going to show you exactly how people just like you are making this transformation happen. And the career path that I'm about to reveal is extremely future-proof and has exploded with opportunities in 2025 alone. And what I'll share with you in the next few minutes could completely change your financial future. So if you're ready to stop settling for less than you're worth, keep watching. First, let's address the elephant in the room. When you hear cybersecurity, where does your mind go? What do you think about? Do you think of, computer nerds? Do you think of like hackers with hoodies in a dark basement? What is it that comes to mind? Because most likely it's one of the stereotypes. And even though those things are pretty cool, especially in movies and in Hollywood, the reality is that the job is much different than that. For one thing, there's so many different things that you can do within the field of cybersecurity that, some of them can range from the very technical hacker, computer nerd type stuff to the policy heavy stuff, things that are not as technical. So there's many different skill sets that you can bring to the table, and you don't have to be this like nerdy introverted person in order to succeed in the field. And if we look at the average salaries, that's a whole nother can of worms we could dive into. Let me just pull it up just to show you, because anyone can make any statement, right, about the average salary in a field. Anyone can make any statement online. So I'm going to just, Google this right in front of you guys so you can see as well. What is the average cybersecurity salary in the US? So if I type that in, we see the Google AI will respond with 132,000 annually for US cybersecurity professionals. And obviously these can range, right? So we can look at the lower end, right? So entry level roles, looking at around 70,000 a year. If you get, it says 20 years experience, 159. I have another video on my channel where I break down my own salary journey, and just a little spoiler alert for that one, I was way higher than 159 after only 5 years in the field. So yeah, these can definitely range, but as you see here, none of these numbers on the screen look bad. If you are in your current role right now, would you like to be making 132,000? How might your life look differently if you were making that salary versus what you're making now? But the real benefit to this is how quickly you can get up your salary. As you see here, I would say this is a very conservative estimate compared to what I've seen in my own career and the students that I've trained in my program as well. But you can see here, 6 to 10 years, you're looking at, 140K there. Right. And it's hard to track something like this on a 25-year mark with any accuracy, right? Because cybersecurity 25 years ago didn't really formally exist, in 2000, right? In the year 2000, I don't think many companies had cybersecurity teams. So we got to take this a bit with a grain of salt, but yeah, needless to say here, pretty insane. And there's multiple sources that it's sourcing this from, the Bureau of Labor Statistics in the US. And, each time you run this, it'll answer with something different. But I've seen some other estimates, right, as well from, what was the other one that it was sourcing from? I'm not seeing it in this response, but there was another pretty reputable survey that it was getting it from. And the next thing you might wonder from here is, okay, this sounds great and everything, but I don't have any skill set in cybersecurity. I don't know the first thing about cybersecurity. How would I realistically be able to make this change? Like, what value could I even bring to a cybersecurity team? Why would they hire me? Well, one thing that might really surprise you is you probably already have a lot of relevant skills that these employers are looking for on a meta level when it comes to hiring a candidate for cybersecurity. Number one, let me just say that this feeling of I'm not qualified enough is something that I've even seen out of people that have 5, 10, 15 years experience in this field. And it's known as imposter syndrome, and it's pretty rampant in this area, because I think one of the reasons is that it's there's so many things in cybersecurity that you can learn. There's an infinite number, and you're not expected to know everything. Eventually you kind of specialize, but because it's a little bit open-ended in terms of you can go in so many different directions, people, they start learning, they go down the learning rabbit hole, and the more you learn, the more you realize how much there is to learn, and then you feel like you know nothing. So people very quickly, if they don't start out with it, a lot of times they'll very quickly develop this imposter syndrome that will persist with them. And we've had some techniques on this channel that will help you deal with that as well. But just because you feel that way, let me just tell you, a lot of people that feel that way the most end up being the most qualified in the field out of anyone that I've talked to. But you probably have a lot of skills right now in your current role, whatever it is, that would be very beneficial to cybersecurity. So for example, are you someone that's working in customer service or in a role where you have to interface with customers, you have to talk to people a lot? Well, there's a lot of transferable skills that you would have in that area. So one thing is understanding user behavior, right? Because that is something that we have to think about all the time in cybersecurity, whether we're on the offensive or defensive side. So on the defensive side, right, understanding user behavior, as a SOC analyst, one of the things you need to do is you need to triage these alerts that come in, and you need to try to determine, okay, is this normal user behavior, or is this maybe an indicator that we've been hacked? Right? So having that understanding on a meta level can help you. If you're on the offensive side, okay, what does a normal user behavior look like for this app? Well, okay, did the developer foresee, what if I do this instead? The developer, they're probably expecting the user to use this app in this way. What if I use it in this other way here? Might I be able to find a security gap here that they didn't consider? So, and then also if you look into something like red teaming, well, if you know how to talk to people well, you can do social engineering, right? You can do phishing. You can call up the help desk and pretend to be, someone trying to reset their password, but really you're resetting the password of, some other user in the company or something like that. You're getting access to someone else's machine. You're tricking them by social engineering them. So that's a skill set that you can, be way above the very beginner level if you have all this experience talking to customers and client-facing stuff. What else could we maybe bring to the table? Well, do you have problem-solving skills just in general? Maybe you're in a tech support help desk role, or maybe you're in a non-tech related role, but you're heavily involved in some sort of problem solving. Well, you can take that same overall skill set and apply that to many cybersecurity positions, things like incident response, threat analysis, right? Having those roles where you have to think critically, any kind of security architect role, although security architect is not very beginner friendly, but you could start making progress towards something like that now, because even with the entry level roles, if you have this overall problem solving skill set, you can take that same mindset and just once you learn the cybersecurity side, you're going to be very well equipped to execute on this role better than someone that doesn't have that skill set. And if you don't have any of these things, well, at the very least, does what you're doing now require attention to detail? Does it require a fine eye for things and for you to pay attention? Well, if it does, then and you've built up that muscle, then that is definitely going to be transferable in something like security monitoring, like a SOC analyst role, a compliance role as well, because, a lot of the defensive roles, you're kind of, if I were to give an analogy, you're kind of like the hawk in the network, right? You're the eagle flying over the field, looking for that needle in the haystack, right? You have that keen eye, that sharp eye, that attention to detail. And there is, that the off chance, right? Because that's why they hire these people. It's the off chance that they're breached, that you have someone that can detect and respond very quickly and efficiently, right? So if you have that attention to detail, if you can be that hawk surveying the field and you spot that needle in the haystack and you trigger the alerts, you bring in the incident response, you lock things down, you protect the organization, that is going to be extremely valuable. How valuable? Well, let's put it this way. Some companies that get breached and don't respond to it adequately, their business ceases to exist, right? I think a perfect example of this is, in the cryptocurrency space, how many crypto projects have went down because they got breached. There was a hack and then they went to zero, essentially. But, even your larger companies are massively impacted by this stuff. So yeah, definitely a really impactful transferable skill that you could have there. So yeah, just all of this is to say that your experience dealing with these difficult situations in the job that you might be in now, even if you hate it, even if you're not the biggest fan of what you're doing now, this is exactly what cybersecurity needs in many cases, these transferable skills. Now, if you tried Googling for, cybersecurity jobs, anything in the tech space, software development, IT, you're probably hearing a lot of doom and gloom, right? You're seeing people say this is the toughest job market we've ever seen and all this stuff. While that may be true, cybersecurity there's never been a better time to, I think, future-proof yourself with cybersecurity as there is today. And the reason that I say that is that even though in this snapshot in time, it may be a tough job market, it's not going away. AI is actually contributing to more demand for cybersecurity jobs than ever before. We're seeing a massive uptick in security issues due to these companies rushing into AI, trying to integrate these AI tools, using AI to write their code that has a bunch of security issues in it. I mean, make no mistake, even before the popularity of AI came into play, there were so many security issues out there being found all the time. I think with AI emerging, it's exacerbated the issue. It's made it so much worse in so many ways. And so now is the time if you want to really future-proof yourself, especially if you pair learning about AI with cybersecurity, that would be the ultimate stack right there. And I mean, every company is getting hacked if you check the news. That didn't change, and every business needs protection, and that's something that is never going to go away. As long as we're using technology and as long as people in the world exist that would want to abuse that, you will have a job, And I can't think of a scenario, even a doomsday scenario, right? Those things would still remain true. Maybe if an EMP took out the entire world, even if that happened, even analog technologies can be hacked, by the way. There's like RF, radio frequency hacking tools and things out there. And let's be honest, there's always going to be people that will want to hack this stuff. So there will always be a need for cybersecurity, even in the craziest doomsday scenario that I could think of. And so the question isn't, whether you're qualified enough. It's whether you're willing to stop settling and actually learn a skill set like this. Because the biggest barrier is not the skills or the lack of skills you have right now. It is the curiosity and the willingness to learn. So if you're watching a video like this, that already is a massive indicator that you have more of an interest, more of a curiosity than the vast majority of people. That's all you really need. Because if you have that, then you could push through the learning and you could have what it takes essentially to actually learn this stuff. Because the technical skill sets, while you might not have them now, you can always learn that. What is harder to learn or harder to change about someone is to make them interested in something or to make them curious about something, or to make them take any action at all. The fact that you're here watching this video, I think, is a massive indicator. So if cybersecurity sounds like it could be a good fit and you're wondering if these crazy salaries that I mentioned earlier are actually real, then watch the video down in the description below where I will break it down and walk you through my own cybersecurity salary journey.